Next up, we have where to play. So I talked about the Rio. That's where the World Series of Poker is going down. That's also where there are like 4 daily tournaments a day, and all the poker celebs are going to be there. So if you want to see them, you can find them at the Rio. The only thing about the Rio compared to the other venues is that the events are played in a convention center, and the chairs are not the most comfortable. So in terms of like playing environment, the Rio's not the best. It's also very noisy. It's kind of a zoo in there. Some people thrive on that. Some people don't. But if you want to go for bracelets, you want to go for big multipliers and mass payouts, the Rio's your spot. Next up is the Venetian, which has the Deep Stacks series. Really good structures in these tournaments, really solid buy-ins, really big guarantees. And you get a bit more play in the Venetian tournaments than you do in the Rio tournaments. So there's a better structure because they don't have to get through as many people in such a short amount of time, in such a short amount of days. The competition is a little less competitive at the Venetian, and more importantly, the playing environment is much more positive. You just have nicer chairs, better food selection, and overall, it's just smoother experience. Next is the Aria, which also has some tournaments, but not as many. This is more geared towards the high rollers because it is a very high-end establishment. They do have the WPT 500 at Aria, and in terms of it's a very cool environment because it's very new, but it's also pretty noisy. The Venetian has their poker room separated from everywhere else in the casino. The Aria is still pretty close to the poker room, so you're gonna hear it's to the main floor, so you're gonna hear some slot machines and stuff. The Wynn is my favorite place to play by far. Nicest casino, best dressed people, best looking people, best food. New poker room at Encore is incredible. Great structures, great dailies. Hands down, favorite place to play. Played my first tournament there last summer, and I'm like, what have I been doing for the last decade not playing here? So if you're going down to Vegas, definitely put the Wynn on your list of places to check out. And if you can play one of their dailies, you'll be very happy you did. Planet Hollywood also has some really big guarantees and some really soft fields. The only thing about Planet Hollywood is the poker room is like on top of the gaming floor, so it's extremely noisy. And also there's smoking going on the gaming floor. So a lot of smoke will rise up to where the tournament area is. And so in terms of like a health perspective, it's not the nicest place to play. So I personally avoid Planet Hollywood. But people who are looking to maximize profits spend a lot of time there because the action is extremely good. And lastly, on my list, we have the Golden Nugget, which runs its own series during the summer. It's a lot smaller in terms of buy-ins than the World Series at the Rio, but man, great structures, great value, and great people. It's a really positive vibe. It's a much more playful vibe, not as serious. And there's still some pretty big payouts. I think some of the tournaments pay like 40, 50K off a $200 entry. So the Golden Nugget Summer Series, great one to check out. Next up, we have where to stay. So I've done it all. I've done big houses. I've done small houses. I've done houses with 16 people in them. I've done houses with 4 people in them. I've stayed in a hotel by myself. I've stayed in a house with one friend. Friends' houses on the couch. Kind of done it all. So it really depends on what you want. What you're there for, and what helps you feel your best. Do you like having a lot of people around? Do you like a party? Do you like being close to the action? Would you prefer having some quiet time? There's something for everyone. So home rentals are the first option. They require planning ahead, and at this point in time, they're probably all sold out. So if you want to rent a home, plan 6 to 9 months ahead if you want to get a good one. Great thing about home rental is there's all kinds of locations. There's ones that are close to the strip, far from the strip, big houses, small houses. It's a bit more expensive than the other options, but when you split it between enough friends, it becomes reasonable. It's still somewhat expensive, but it becomes more reasonable. Next up is hotel and then casino. And the one thing I will caution you with hotel and casino is to beware of resort fees, because the prices can be much higher than anticipated. There's always just these silly like 15, 20% fees that they add on top of the regular booking fee. So I like to go through sites like hotels.com, hotwire.com, and to try to get deals. Last time I booked through one of those sites for a Vidara room, they upgraded me to like a massive suite just because I'd booked through that site. So if you're going to book a hotel or casino room, I advise going through one of those third-party websites rather than booking directly with the hotel. But do be aware that you're going to pay some extra beyond what's listed on the site. Also, a note for casinos is to be prepared for noise, lights, and all the action, which if you're playing lots of poker and you're feeling tired and you just want to turn off and rest, being in a casino can make that very difficult. There's a lot of noise, temptation, and things that are trying to pull you away from resting. So personally, I do not like staying in casinos. What's up, Internet Flip? But some people like being in casinos because it gets them close to the action. So it's really, do you want to be right by the action, or do you want to be able to take a break from the action? Next up, we have Airbnb, which is awesome because when you rent a room, if you rent just a room instead of a whole house, it's very inexpensive and there are tons of listings. If you go on Airbnb, even right now to this day, with the World Series having started, there are tons of listings and they are very, very, very cheap. I would just advise speaking to the host, doing a little back and forth and getting a real feel for what you're signing up for. Some of these houses are just Airbnb rental houses that aren't kept up that well, and other ones are people's homes, which is where you're more likely to have a positive experience. If you know people in town, friend's house is obviously the nuts. The more comfortable we feel in a place, the more at ease we can be, the more easily we can recover and recharge and repair from a long day's grinding. So this is kind of optimal. Just make sure it's a friend you actually get along with. And finally, special favorite for people planning to grind at the Rio. Oh yeah, friends' houses are usually the best price because, you know, at the price of free $99, it's a good deal. And then Flamingo Palms is a special one for people planning to grind at the Rio, Bellagio, and Aria exclusively. This place, Flamingo Palms, is located right across the street from the Rio and like a 3-minute taxi drive from the Bellagio and the Aria. It's an average setup, but the rooms are very inexpensive compared to everything else near the Strip. And it's located, like I said, right across the street from the Rio. So that's a little insider secret for you. Flamingo Palms Villas is a great place to book. Okay. As for the best hotels, if you do want to stay at a hotel or casino, the Rio is obviously the best for World Series of Poker. It's convenience. But if you decide you're playing a different series, say the Golden Nugget Summer Series, you'd probably want to stay at the Golden Nugget. If you think most of your play is going to be at the Venetian, it would make sense to stay at the Venetian. So when choosing to stay at a casino hotel, usually the reason is because you plan on playing a lot there, whether it's mostly cash games or mostly tournaments, and being able to rest on dinner break or go to sleep early and then wake up at like 3-4 a.m. to catch a wrap game, a cash game that's been going late, gives you a really big edge. So if you're planning to grind a lot, staying at the hotel where you think you're going to put in the most volume makes a lot of sense. In terms of hotels that are inexpensive, Gold Coast is right next to the Rio, and it's also much less expensive. I learned about this one from Paul Wasika, and I was very happy the year that I stayed there. Palms Place is a bit more pleasure. It's got a nice spa, it's got a nice party pool, and it's also across the street from the Rio. So these three are all pretty much World Series of Poker focused. And if you're planning on playing a different series, then a different hotel would be the move. The Bellagio is one of those hotels for the cash game grinders and the up-and-coming ballers. Really nice spa, really nice food, just awesome place to be, and the cash games are really juicy. Vdara is for the ones who want to be in city center. It's connected to the Bellagio and to the Aria, but it's just a hotel. It's not a casino. So if you want to be central, but you don't want a casino vibe, the Vdara is a great place to be. A lot of really top players stay at the Vdara. And then Aria is for the real high rollers. One of the best spas in town. Very expensive though. Great restaurants, an awesome pool and gym, shopping, gambling, beautiful people, everything, and poker as well. If you can afford it and you want to feel like a super baller, Aria is definitely the place to be. So there are your options for best hotels and why each one is a good choice for you.